Hello everybody, and back again to our Reaper tutorial series, part 2H. Hello Intensified. This is a little tutorial about working with effects on tracks, to use an EQ in a track and how to use a limiter in a track. Maybe I should first tell you something about limiters, actually what they are and what they do. I think the best example would be a graphical example, like if I take this little item here, the first item. What happens when we make this louder is, let's do that with the volume trim on the item. You can see that the louder we get, tick, you already see the first point hitting the top of this little window of the item. And if we are going to do it even more, you can see that basically all the items which are going over the top of this window are being cut off, more or less, or better said, compressed. So if I zoom in on this, we can see that actually the waveform is like here and here and here. It is prevented to be any louder than that. Well, this is of course sort of graphical representation, which is really not a real world example, but I hope you get the idea. So, what happens when we start using a device like that in a track like this? So, let's see, we have already installed by default a EQ and a limiter on this track. And this threshold is actually exactly what the top line of our graphical representation was. So if things get any louder than the level we set here, they will be kept at this level for the moment when it's happening. And when it goes down at level, it will be acting as usual. So we have the normal signal again. Now, there are some more things to be told which go a little bit out of the scope of this tutorial. But what we want to use it for, and that's the main topic actually, is that we would like to keep things in a certain range happening. And if that goes out of that range, we would like to be able to have the top level go a little bit down. What would happen if we would like shift the whole volume down? Well, then maybe the top level would be good, but the lower volume bits would completely disappear in the mix. So what we would like to have is a situation that our voices or whatever we want to be able to hear should be in a certain dynamic range. It should not go below that because otherwise it disappears, and it should not go above that because otherwise it will jump out of our mix. And this is also undesirable. So if we play back this little piece of audio we have here, I will zoom out again and shift click on the item to make it into a turn it into a time selection, and will hit R on my keyboard to repeat this and solo it so we can only hear this bit of the audio.
Thy soul shall find
And so
itself. Thy
here
soul
we have the
shall
naked
find
signal,
itself. Thy soul shall find itself. Thy soul
and we
shall
can
find itself. Thy soul shall
bring
find
up
itself. Thy soul
the
shall
total
find
level
itself.
a bit.
Thy soul shall find itself. Thy soul
And you can
shall
see
find
on the bottom
itself.
here
Thy soul shall
the
find
reduction
itself.
fader
Thy soul shall find itself.
is
Thy soul shall
hitting
find
some
itself.
points
Thy
where it's
soul
really loud
shall find
and
itself.
keeps it at
Thy
this
soul
level.
shall find itself. Thy soul
So you can
shall
see that
find itself. Thy soul
where here at
shall
the
find
input
itself.
is
Thy
like
soul.
the top is on minus 9.5 dB. By putting the threshold a little bit lower, we pushed the whole signal up to minus 1.1 without actually overloading the channel. And that's the goal we want to achieve. I think the most important is for our students that you have to be aware that there is a certain dynamic range in a movie we would like to look after, and we will get deeper into it with a special tutorial about metering. But for now, we will keep a certain dynamic range. I think we agree to sort of 20 dB between the average signal and the peak signal, because that's what we use most in a cinematic experience. Another effect we have here for the whole track. Reaper is nice in that you can put effects on an item, but you can also put effects on an overall track. So that means that the effect is applied on all the items in the track. There are various reasons to put effects on a track, and there are also various reasons to put effects on an item. We would like you to put EQs mostly on items because it gives you a good impression already. You can make adjustments special for only that spot. You can incorporate effects which you can easily copy over to other items or change very easily between items, as we've shown in previous tutorials. To insert an effect on a track would be beneficial if you want to make some final adjustments, like you would like have the mid-range high a little bit lifted here, or you want to get rid of some very low end rumble, as we call it, like the undefined low frequencies which can mess up really quickly and they add together very quickly in a mix. So that would be beneficial to use it there instead of on every single track, because then you already have that done. And you can make small adjustments in comparisons with other tracks. So then if you think, okay, well, the text is sounding very nice, but it clashes at some frequency points with the violin, for instance, which is basically in the same range as your vocal, or can be in the same range as your vocal. And sometimes they clash a little bit, so you have to make adjustments in the equalizer, or you can make adjustments in the equalizer to get rid of that. And that's what we would use it for in a track. So it would make life more easy to make a general adjustment. Then we have a recommendation for you, like you can mix a lot of different items as we've seen before with different effects inserted which will do different things, and they can have completely different content as well. And to keep your session organized, it is very practical to use EQs then in this way. So you can actually mix different kinds of material, as Thomas showed before. So if we have some different material in this clip, we can just put entirely different effects in there. If the same kind of content would return here, then we can give this a different color and just quickly copy over the effects we already had, and we would have a similar sounding clip. And you can also, of course, make final adjustments there. This will save you a lot of time, because then in the end you probably only have to make some final adjustments here in the equalizer on the track, or you can make your final adjustments below here in the volume lane. So now if we want to make final adjustments, we can just draw something like that or whatever we would need. As our session gets a little bit more bigger and we have to navigate quickly from one point to another, it can become eventually a bit cumbersome. So I would recommend to open the Navigator with Opt Command V, which is here. And usually this is not in a dock, so you would see it like this. I would propose to put this in the dock with Dock Navigator window in Docker, and then you would have it here available. The highlighted area is the area of the screen in the edit window, and you can just quickly move around to go to a certain part and move it like this. To undock, if you want to get rid of it, you can either just like click this away, it will close the window, or you can say I don't want to have it docked, so you can just take this tick away here, and it will come back here. So that's all for it now. Thank you very much. I would like to point you to our next tutorial, which is 2i Hello Intensified. Do your own mix together with stems. Bye bye.